I'm just going to work. I'm going to bring y'all along. Throw any questions in the chat if anybody decides they want to watch this fucking mess of a show. All right. We'll try to keep the language somewhat clean, but no promises. So if you're a wee one, this may not be for you because I tend to swear a lot when I make Damascus. All right. I can clean this off. Alright, don't know if anybody's watching this stuff, but feel free to put stuff in the comments if you have any questions. I'm working on some Damascus today, or pattern welded steel if you want to be technical about it. I call it Damascus, it's a common vernacular. My shop, I get to call it what I want to call it. Okay. Good, alright, I gotta get a stick going. Let me see here. Top messages, no, I want all messages. Bam. All right. So now I should see what you guys are chatting. I got to make a handle first real quick. Just going to bring you along on this process. I'm basically in the last step of this layer. Going to end up with 210 layers of Damascus here. I've got about 70 layers now, and they've got stacked back into thirds. So I'm just going to bring you along. It might be a little noisy. Deal with it. I just got to stick weld it up so I can make a handle for this billet. Again, I'm just going to kind of bring you guys along. It's going to be a little bit of welding here, so don't make fun of my welds, please. Don't make fun of my welds. They are piss poor. I'm working on a billet of Damascus, man. So I've got it stacked 3 up, so about 3 inches tall now. About 4.5-ish inches long. I'm sorry, no, 3.5 inches long. And just gonna tack weld this together, and then we're gonna get it hot in the forge. So just bring you guys along with my process here. I didn't show y'all the cleanup and grinding because that shit just takes forever. It's annoying. I'm gonna move the acetone away from where the welder is. Safety third, you know. All right, let me go ahead and weld. So divert your eyes or something. I don't know. Hopefully I don't burn up the camera on my my iPhone here. All right. Again, if you have any questions on what I'm doing or why I'm doing what I'm doing, just let me know. Oh, shit, look at that. That's from cleaning up all the Damascus. Big old dirty Sunday. Sorry, still got this walking pneumonia shit. Oh. Always good to blow your nose in a rag soaked with acetone. All right. awesome welding helmet from Forney. Love that company. They just dropped. What happens when you rush, folks? It's what happens when you rush. You drop things. All right. Yeah, so this video is more just like stream of consciousness, bringing you along on my processes. So, if you have any questions, I'm going to take a second and clean this face shield. It's a wee bit dirty. Schmutz everywhere. All right. Okay. So again, I am not a great welder, so please don't make fun of my welds. They're going to look piss poor, but they hold. So that's all I really care about. This thing's getting smushed together anyways. And I'm just working on a Harbor Freight titanium. It's like their middle line or whatever. Just a flux core. Nothing fancy. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to start welding up now. Basically, I'm just going to kind of, the front I'm going to weld all together. The corners, like the middle piece, I'm going to just kind of tack. And then the back I'm going to weld all together. So. I mean, honestly, for me, that ain't half bad right there. So that'll work for that one side, okay? There's a couple tacks there. The back here, I'm going to put the stick right here in the middle, and then I'll weld these seams here. Shit out of the way. The stick is what I always have a problem welding. It just always turns out to be a goddamn mess. that should be good enough. Okay. I got that welded together. All right, let's see. We're using flux core. I don't have the room or the capability here in the shop to mess around with like a gas and all that stuff. So, I don't weld all that much. So this works for what I'm doing. Just sticking together some Damascus billets. If I ever get back, get into fabrication more, I'll get a better welder. But for now, this will work. And my damn forge is giving me problems. So here's what we got. All right, again, ugly, but you know what? It's gonna hold for what I need. So let's go. Fix the forge here real quick. And shut up. Need some more air. All right. So I'm running a forced air burner, so that's why every now and then it kind of backs off if the gas mix is weird. So, I appreciate it, man. This is actually probably some of my better welds that I've done. So, fully expect the stick to fall off at some point, but as long as it lasts until I get this all forged together, I'll be happy. So now here's what I do next. A lot of people now from this stage, they'll get the billet hot and they'll put a bunch of flux on it, right? And that's what I used to do. But with a forced air burner, you can dial in that air gas mixture. You don't necessarily need that. As long as your steel is nice and clean and it's nice and tight together, get you some WD-40. Everything's breaking today. I swear to God, man. Everything is fucking breaking. Spraying WD-40 everywhere. And all you do is just douse this son of a bitch. And WD-40, get it in all those seams. Okay? I'm trying to get you. Come on here. Just soak the thing in WD-40. Obviously, you don't want this thing so hot that it's going to burst into flames on you. But just soak it. And it's okay if it gets on your anvil because that'll actually help later as we're forge welding this thing. All right? So we are going to soak it in WD-40. We're going to let that kind of sit there for a couple minutes. I'm going to tinker with my forge and get it back hot. All right? And then we're going to get going. So give me 1 second here and put these gloves away. Switch over to my other gloves that I like. All right, what's wrong with you? All right. So here's what I like. I like these little nitro coated gloves. Not I don't know what they are. Latex coated or whatever. Rubber, something. You can get them pretty cheap at Harbor Freight, like packs of 5. They just, they're a little heat resistant. They still got good dexterity on them and all that good stuff. So another tool that's extremely useful while doing Damascus is just a little infrared thermometer. Make sure it goes up to at least 3,000 degrees, or at least 2,500 if you can. It's just a cheapo one on Amazon, and you shoot it in there. And right now my forge is rocking about 2,000 degrees, so I want it to be a couple hundred degrees more. But what I'm going to do now, let me get you a better view here. I don't like that shot. I like the shot from over here. All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to heat up a bar of steel, and I'm going to switch my forge press out to the flat dies right over there, and I'm going to warm up those dies with that piece of steel that I warm up. So again, if you got questions or need me to slow down, let me know. I just wanted to bring everybody along for this portion of Damascus making because this is kind of the fun part. So, all right, so I'm going to just work. Again, I'll check back with you every so often. Where are you, rat bastard? Just a little more in there. Never have too much. What we got here? All right. You're a welder fabricator. I don't know how much forging. So for Damascus, I start off with real thin pieces, right? So I start off with, God, I don't even know, like saw blade thickness for the 15 and 20, and up to a 1/4 inch for the high carbon steel. Mostly I'll use 3/16 or 1/8 inch just so I can get my layer counts higher quicker. But this is basically the last stage of the Damascus making process for this billet. I'm only going up to 210 layers. So each of these thick layers is 70 layers in and of itself. So 7 times 3 is 21, right? Yeah. So that's why these ones are thicker. For my initial stack, like I said, I did 35 layers of mix between 15N20 and 80 CRV2. So good question. That's a great question. Plenty of propane in there. It's just taking it a while to get up to where I want it. Since we got that bar in there, we dropped 100 degrees, so that's all right. All right. Coffee check. Caffeinated beverage check here. I got some good Black Rifle coffee. They're not a sponsor, but fuck, I wish they were, because their coffee's delicious. Alright, so we're gonna let this bar that I put in there, it's like a 1-inch round bar, put that in there. Gonna let that come up to a nice glowing orange heat. Then we're gonna put it and clamp it in my my press. And that way those jaws heat up, so when I go to do my smush on my Damascus, and that's an official blacksmith term, smush, it's not going to suck all the heat out. Now with these layers being so thick, that's not as big of a deal. When you've got the real thin layers, like with your initial stack, if your forge press or even your anvil is too cold, it's going to immediately suck all that heat out, and you're going to lose your forge welding heat, and that stack is not going to stick. So it's just a process that I get into, that I follow every time. It works for me. That's kind of the main thing with Damascus or pattern welded steel, is you find a process that works for you and you stick to it. Do not deviate. Once you find something that works for you, stick with it. Now, of course, if you find a new process and you play around with it and it's better and more efficient, like the WD-40 trick as opposed to flux, and flux really messes up your forge and stuff, then yeah, do that too. So, but yeah, so that's my philosophy on it, right? Find what works, stick with it until you find something better. So, all right. So let's go ahead. That's just about to where we want it on the temperature wise. So, getting nice and hot. One second here, guys. I had some notification on here. Nope, we're good. All right. I don't know if when I check my notifications if that messes up the live stream or not. If you just see me looking oddly at my phone, like, well, what's going on? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this out, and I'm going to clamp it in the forge press. All right, see, just a hot piece of steel. That's all that is. We're just going to let that warm up, and now we're going to put this bad boy in the forge, and we're going to let him get hot. So again, it's nice and soaked through with WD-40. Get that nice and roaring, okay? And like I said, I keep that WD-40 just sitting, that puddle sitting there on the anvil, because when I go to clean this off, I want to kind of soak it back in. Even though it flares up, it still kind of helps create that oxygen-free barrier. So give me 1 second here. I got a notification. Let me double check this here. And in the back. Okay, here we go. All right. So again, hopefully I didn't mess it up and it just paused it or something. All right. I make some weird faces when I look at my messages. But, all right. So now here's the thing. Now we just wait. We got to wait for the steel to heat up. We got to flip it around like a steak, right? You just flip it back and forth, make sure that heat stays even, all right? And you don't want it to get too hot on one side because it could actually cause it to separate. So What I normally do during this stage is I'll grab some other projects that I got. Oh, okay, cool. So just kind of buffered. All right. So what I normally do during this process while I'm waiting is I'll grab some knives that I'm already working on, or I'll start a new knife, grinding or whatever, and I'll pull it out and I'll just start doing the layout line, start grinding it, cleaning it up. Obviously here on a live stream, I'm not going to do that because that's way too much camera moving and stuff like that. So give me 1 second. I'm going to pull some knives out of the tempering oven and bring them and show you. Just kind of show you what I'm working on. So be right back. So just constantly checking that, making sure that we're not getting too hot one spot or another. Obviously that stick is going to heat up, you know, it happens. So the stick is sacrificial. So, all right, so a couple knives I've got working on. I've got this guy. He's a rough forged hunter on stainless steel. That's why he's kind of got these weird colors, because the way you quench stainless steel is with aluminum plates and condensed air, or compressed air. So I got this guy. He'll be coming up soon. Just a real nice, basic kind of utility hunting knife kind of deal. A little bit of a recurve in there, nothing too crazy. But straight spine, slight drop here at the back of the handle. We'll have lanyard hole, and I'm going to leave the flats kind of rough forged there. So pretty cool. I really like this this style. Should be nice. And then the second one was just something I was working on the other day, actually doing this stuff, and I was kind of in between projects, and I had some leftover Damascus. So I decided to whip up this little guy. I don't even know what to even call this guy. Little mini chopper, wood splitter kind of thing, slicer, tomato slicer. I don't know. So yeah, this one's pretty cool. It's got some really neat curves to it, right? There you go. Curve up here. And then I've got, again, another lanyard hole here. So I think this one's going to be really nice. This is, I can't remember the layer count. But it basically has Damascus on the outside, pure nickel shim, and then high carbon steel in the middle. I can't remember the layer count exactly for this guy. So either way, it's going to be a really cool blade. Got to figure out what to do with the handle. If somebody claims it and wants to pick out the handle, they can. So I'll be working on these kind of in between projects. These will both be up for sale. Kind of what I do is while I'm working on one big project, I'll start some smaller projects, and it helps my ADD riddled brain focus better. So yeah, it kind of does look like a mini butcher's knife. A little bit of that swoop up there, so it'll be a nice slicer, you know, nice skinner maybe. I mean, I don't know if it's too beefy to be a proper skinner, but I mean it's thick. It's 3/16 thick along the spine, so you could definitely break down like a deer or something with this. So. But yeah, so that's what I got going. Let's check our steel. I'll bring you in a little closer here. Try not to melt my phone. All right, so as you can see in there, the steel is still very cold, but we're going to go ahead and flip it. All right, we're just going to continually flip that steel and make sure that that it heats up nice and even as best we can. Hey, appreciate it, Morgan. Thank you. I do my best. I do it for all of you people out there, all 4 of you watching. I just started doing YouTube again, just because Instagram has been throttling knife makers like crazy over the last couple of years. I can't even really do an Instagram live anymore. It doesn't get out to any of my followers or anything, and they throttle me down. So trying to find a new medium, going back to YouTube. I haven't done much in several years, really, since I started blacksmithing. I'm not really going to do a lot of edited videos. I'm going to mainly use this for live type stuff. So hopefully people like it and they join whenever I do this, and you know, learn something, right? I'm just trying to help further this craft. So yeah, so that's where we're at. I'm going to go grab a Kleenex here real quick. I'll be right back, folks. Stand by. Walking pneumonia is the hell of a thing, I'm telling you. So, all right. Yeah, so basically right now we're just waiting. So, should just stand here and stare at the camera in silence. Might get more watchers. I don't know. I need to get back into your hobby. Building Tesla coil. What? Oh, that's awesome, man. That's a cool hobby. Tesla coils. I used to love those, like when I was a kid in science class and stuff. That's pretty neat. Yeah, this started out as a hobby, blacksmithing. Never wanted to make knives though. I started out just doing general blacksmithing, making tools. Like a lot of the tools are on my shop. I made myself. Like this was a coal rake when I was working on a coal forge, and I needed a coal rake, so I looked up on YouTube how to make a coal rake, and it's a pretty simple blacksmithing project that helped to build your skills. Another one here. Another was a coal rake, right? It's got a little twist in there. I learned twisting a round bar doesn't really look cool because of the round bar. But now I use these in my propane forges to move blades around, or if I've got a brick in there, right? If I need it elevated, move the brick around, or slide the doors open and close. But yeah, I mean that's what I liked about blacksmithing is you learn one skill in order to learn another skill in order to complement another skill, and eventually one of my buddies asked me to make him a knife, and so I made him an ugly as sin knife from a farrier's rasp, and he really liked it. I posted it on my Facebook, and then my brother wanted me to make him a knife, so I made him a knife, and then somebody else asked me to make him a knife, and then Forged and Fire started getting hot, so I started watching that show, and I was like, hey, this is kind of cool, and started making more and more knives, and then eventually I was drunk in a bar one day and saw the casting call for Forged and Fire, and I applied to be on it, and they liked me, and they brought me on, and bam, now all I do is make knives and swords and other shit. So it's funny how the world works. So, but yeah, so blacksmithing's awesome, fabrication is awesome. That's one of the things I really struggle with is if I need to fabricate something like exact in the shop. I mean, it's a struggle for me. So, like, I would love to have a mill in here so I could mill out slots for guards and stuff like that. But yeah, so yeah, man, I was on it twice. Won the first episode, season 5, episode 12, Naval Cutlass, and then the second episode was a returning championship episode, and I was the runner-up to the guy that beat one of the judges. So yeah, 1 for 1. I'll call it. I was also on the show Knife or Death, if you remember that one. A little spin-off of Forged and Fire where you had to go and do an obstacle course with your knives and stuff. I won one episode, and then my blade broke in the Grand Championship episode. So that was a lot of fun. That was a fun. All right, so we're heating up pretty good while I was rambling on. If you look, our billet is kind of a dull orange right now. All 3 layers are looking pretty similar. So we'll flip it over. That bottom's going to be colder than the top, obviously, because it's lower or it's further away from the heat. But we're looking good. So we're going to go ahead and do a temp check, see what we're rocking on the inside there. 1 second. Where did I put that? All right, so in the forge, we're about 2150, which is about 100 degrees less than I want it to be. On my billet, right here at the end, we're at about 2100. So we need to pump that temperature up about 200 degrees before I'll be happy with where we're at. We're gonna have a little more air, a little more gas. All right. So, yeah, man, go ahead. Now I know you can't really find the whole episode on YouTube. There's some clips you can find on YouTube. I think Netflix has it, or maybe Disney Plus has it now. I can't remember. They keep swapping them, switching them around. It's on the History Channel, so if you got a streaming service that has History Channel. Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Good experience. A lot of good contacts that I made. I'm good buddies with Jay Nielsen now. I talk to Dave Baker every now and then, stuff like that. So it's a good experience. It's a fun show. It was really fun. All right, I'm going to turn some of these lights off because that's going to help me see the heat better. There we go. I know it looks different to you guys on the camera here, but I can see the subtle differences with my horrible eyes. Now, once we reach that temperature that we want, we're gonna let this thing sit for about 5 minutes and let that heat soak all the way through. Technically, we only have 3 layers that we're trying to forge together, 3 pieces. Those pieces are an inch thick, so it's gonna take a little time to get all that heat all the way through. And as we get closer, we're gonna kind of rotate it more and more so that heat stays at that hot temperature. One more heat up at this side. One more heat up here. Just to really get those jaws warmed up for it. So, all right, good stuff. So again, if anybody else watching is, or even Morgan, if you've got more questions, man, go ahead and throw them in the chat. I love answering questions for people. I love, teaching and stuff like that. I was an instructor with the Army, my last duty station, and I really enjoyed it. So I'd like to keep that kind of going here on this channel, make this kind of like an educational channel. So with that, or I could just buy more bourbon and just sit on this channel and drink more bourbon. So let me see if I can clean this camera off. The camera's looking good. Let me try to clean this up. It's looking very, very foggy. That's a little better. Good enough. Good enough for my ugly mug. Right. Yeah, these gloves never these gloves never last very long. As you can see, these are brand new yesterday. Just opened them up and I've already got a hole in them. So yeah, season 5 episode 12 should be called the Naval Cutlass. It's an all military episode. Myself, 2 other Army vets, and a Marine Corps vet were on there. It was a lot of fun. That was a really fun episode. Okay, we look like we're up to the temperature I want, right? I can kind of, I've been doing this so long, you can kind of tell by the eye. Yeah, we're rocking right about 22. We're gonna let that soak here. We're just gonna kind of let that soak. And then we're going to do a smush, and I'll move the camera close so you guys can kind of see what it looks like when we smush it together. And the way I kind of do my, my hands are burning. Hot. The way I do my forge welding, right, I kind of do 3 different steps, and a lot of blacksmiths or knife makers that do Damascus do this. First smush is kind of just a light tap to consolidate those billets and bring them truly into contact with one another, like at the molecular level. Then you get back hot again. Second smush, a little bit harder, just kind of, urging them to kind of forge weld. Then that 3rd and 4th and 5th are just really giving it everything you got, either it's in the machine or on the hammer, and just making sure those seams are good, and then you draw it out to the size that you want. We're going to keep this thing pretty chunky because I've still got to grind in the pattern that I want for the piece that I'm making. The piece, I'll tell everybody here, what this piece is going to be is a decorative spear for a colonel in the Army that's commissioned me to make a piece for it. I believe it's for somebody he knows that's retiring out of the brigade he was commanding at. So, pretty cool piece. It's going to be purely decorative. I've got to do the shaft and everything else for it. But it's going to be pretty cool when it's all said and done. Like the spearhead itself is like 11 inches tall. So, yeah, pretty big piece. So I want to keep this thing nice and chunky. So I have enough mass where I need it to be, because it also has this little cross guard Coolean thing on, little spiky thingies, or horns. I don't know what the fuck you call it on a spear. Lugs. They look like horns or something. So I need mass in certain spots on this billet while still being able to grind in the pattern that I'm going to do. So, all right, so let's pull this out now. Heat our flat knives up. Continue to turn this a couple more times. We are definitely where the temperature needs to be on this bad boy. All right. All right. We're going to let that heat kind of soak in there on the flat dies. We're going to turn this a couple more times and let that heat soak all the way through there. Close that back up a bit. All right. Okay, so I'm going to move you guys over to where we're at here. Close enough to see, but close, not so close that I melt my phone. Because that would be bad. All right. Let's see. Try to angle you down a bit. There we go. All right, now listen. While I do this, I always make weird faces. So if you see some weird faces, don't laugh. Keep it to yourself. That's it for the first squeeze. That is it. Don't do any more than that. We're going to bring it back over here. Sorry if I'm jostling you around a little bit. I want to keep this billet hot. We're going to clean this billet off really well. I know it's hard to kind of see. Let's scrape all this gunk off. Let that WD-40 that's now flaming up, we'll let it kind of gas in there. If there are any gaps in there, it'll help seal them up a little bit. Probably have safety glasses on here. All right, so that's what we're looking at now. See how it's a nice, pretty even color other than the edges? Right back in the forge. Don't dick around with it. Don't sit out and set it down and let, look at how pretty it is. All right, get it right back in the forge, keep it hot. Okay? Now, that was the first pass. Let me try to get you back up here. That was the first pass. All right, so I just, as you saw, just barely kissed it, gave it a little squish on both sides. This next time around, I'm going to give it a little bit more with this press. This press is a 16-ton press, got plenty of squish in it to do what we're doing with this. So I'm going to heat this back up. I don't really have to worry about the forge dies, heating them back up. Just trust me, they're plenty hot now. All right, so I'm going to get this back hot again, let it soak for a few minutes, and then bam, go again. And just repeat that process until you are sure that this billet is stuck together. And the way to test that is after you do it on its flats for a couple times, flip it on its side, and then squish down on where those seams are. And if those seams aren't good, I guarantee you it's going to want to split apart. The other way you can do it is squish down on one end, and if the other end wants to pop up and separate, you don't have a good forge weld, okay? And as we do this, I'll kind of show you how to mitigate that and make sure you've got a good forge weld, at least on those seams, or on the ends there, okay? Pretty much already back up to where I want this temperature to be. 2,300 degrees on the outsides of the billet. About 22 right there on the table. Yeah, we're rocking. So we're going to let that get back up to heat. And then again, I'll bring you back over to the press and show you the next one, right? So this next one is going to be same on the flats, like full flat. And we're going to go just a little harder, a little bit more oomph from the 16 ton. So. The billet started out as 2 inches wide, about 4 inches, give or take, long, all right, and then 3 inches tall with that stack. So that's what we started off working today. So. Really nice heat going on the forge. It's really soaking into that steel, so it's awesome. All right. Go and move you back over here for anybody that's still watching. All right. It's a nice snowy day up here in Michigan. All right. So again, if you guys got any questions or something, please go ahead and throw them in the chat. Love engaging with people as they watch the live stream. Just it doesn't have to be about forging. You can ask me any sort of question that you like. Try to keep it clean-ish. Tell a dirty joke. I don't care. All right. So again, it's this second time here at the press. We're going to give it a little more squish. All right, and really start forcing those billets or this billet together. That's it for that one. Bring it back in. We're gonna clean it off again. Really need a better stand here, you know. Clean the steel off. Always brush away from me if you can. I'm just using a butcher block brush. Now you can see again, the heat is looking really even, other than like the very outside where it's been touching cold metal, right? We are looking really, really nice in there. Okay, so now, third pass. We are gonna go very hard, and we're actually gonna go across the die so we can get more pressure on smaller areas to really get that final squish. So, and obviously, we're still going to keep this thing at a forge welding temp, what I like to call a low forge welding temperature as we stretch it out and stuff. But it's not going to be it's not going to be 2,300 degrees, which is what I call a high forge welding temperature for steel. So, all right, so we've done 2 passes now. Going to go on to the third, kind of like what I call the third primary forge welding pass on the hydraulic press, and then we can start drawing it out, switch our dies, and we'll start getting into the brick that I want it to be in, which again is going to still be pretty chunky, but that way I can grind in. I think I'm going to do like a chevron pattern up, so that when we stretch it out, it should have a nice wavy effect up the spearhead. So if you keep watching in next further episodes, or follow me on Instagram, Facebook, or X, I'm doing a lot more on X or Twitter, you will see progress of this design, this spear, as I work here in the next couple weeks. The goal is to get this thing out the door and to the customer by the end of this month. All right, we'll grab another Kleenex, be right back. Again, apologize for all the coughing and snotting and stuff. I've been fighting walking pneumonia for a couple weeks, so. Yeah, we're just gonna let this soak, and now we're really gonna give it what I've heard and really like the saying is give it the beans. So, all right, it looks like I scared pretty much everybody off. I want to keep going though with this live stream. I don't care if anybody's watching. It's me, myself, and I in the cold, working with hot steel. It's awesome. I bet if I was a hot chick trying on different clothes, I'd have a lot more watchers right now. But unfortunately, I'm a fat old guy that's out here freezing its nuts off working on steel. So, not a whole lot of market for that kind of entertainment. So, all right, gonna move you back over here, and again, now we're gonna do. I'm stuck in my damn cart. There we go. All right, So now, hey, Mike King, how you doing, man? All right. Okay, so now I'm going to go for the third press here on the forge press. I'm going to do it, instead of doing it this way, the long ways with the dies, I'm going to turn it so it's perpendicular so I can get more force down on the billet and really squish these layers together. So, again, if you see me making weird faces, it's just what I do when I do this. So, all right, so stay tuned. So just watch right in here. All right. So that went pretty well. I think I could have had it just a little hotter there. So I think I'm going to do one more like that on the flat dies before switching. But from what my eyes can tell, the heat, looking at the heat going all the way through, we are pretty consistent all the way through. Obviously along the edges, that's going to cool off quicker. That's fine. When I'm looking at that center billet, it's the same heat as those outer billets when I pull it out of the forge. So we are looking good. I'm liking what I'm seeing. So we're going to do one more really, really hot pass at that, and just to make sure that thing is fully welded before we start stretching it out. The last thing I want is while I'm stretching it out, the ends start opening up like a fish mouth or something, and then I got to do some panic work and throw flux in there and try to get it to stick again or cut it off, and that's never fun. So, all right, we are making a billet of Damascus, Mike. Making a billet of Damascus that I'm going to use to make a spearhead for a colonel that I've known for many, many years. He commissioned me to make a spearhead for one of his, I think maybe it's his CSM that's retiring. But yeah, he's from the 290th, or he was from the 290th Military Police Brigade, and that's kind of their unit symbol. So doing a version of that should be pretty fun. I'm obviously not going to make the whole thing today. Today we're just working on getting this final forge welding of the Damascus billet together so I could grind in the pattern and stretch it out and all that good stuff. So got a Damascus boy handmade from Finland. Outstanding. That's awesome. Should have bought American, though, to send you. I mean, I know a guy that just made a Damascus Bowie. Could have bought from me. I'm just kidding. Just kidding, man. It's always good to support other makers worldwide, except China or Russia. Don't buy from those countries. NATO countries only. How about that? All right. I think Finland's NATO now, right? Maybe. I think they are now. I think. All right. So yeah, so now we're just gonna let this heat up. Again, gonna get it smoking hot. So, yeah, man, I am currently a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. So, just promoted on 1 January. So, I thought you were Michael King that I knew. Sorry, I know a guy named Michael King that's also a service member. So. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thanks. All right. So again, we're gonna let this bad boy soak up to about 2,300 degrees. It's hard to see with how bright the damn forge is. Look at my dots. We just got a couple more minutes here. All right. Excuse me. My goodness. Walking pneumonia. Not fun. All right. what I look for in terms of heat is if I know the temperature in that forge is 2,300 degrees and it's got a certain yellow glow or a bright yellow color, I want that billet to have that same bright yellow color. To the eye, that's what tells you that billet, at least the outside, is that same 2,300 degrees. Now that's why you let it soak, so you can get all that heat to go all the way through that billet, so you get a good successful forge billet. So. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do this real quick. I'm just gonna leave the camera there. Angle you down just a skosh here. You guys can kind of see everything I'm doing here. Hey, this shop is just not set up for camera work, you know? Just not set up for the camera. There we go. That's good. All right. Okay, so what I did there, right? So I squished down, and then I flipped it on its side and squished down, and that was to test the welds to see if anything would pop open. I did not see anything try to separate. All right, but that's always something to keep your eye on. So this is looking good. It's a nice homogeneous looking piece of steel. It's very heavy. All right, so we're gonna get this back in the forge and turn the forge down just a little bit, and then we're gonna start drawing this out. But again, we're gonna keep this thing pretty chunky. All right, now we're gonna switch these dies here. Oh, what do we got here? Now, so I basically work from custom order to custom order. But yeah, I sell everything I make. I've got 2 blades right now that I'm working on. And I have 1 blade that's actually up for sale. If you check me out on Instagram or X, just look up NagelHaus Forge. You'll see I've got 1 blade currently up for sale. It's like a little Bowie knife or belt knife, and it's made out of 120-year-old wrought iron. It's a beautiful, beautiful blade. So go ahead and give that a look. And then I've got this guy. He's like a little Damascus chopper slicer thing, just a side blade. And then this guy, it's a rough forged stainless steel hunting knife. It's gonna be really nice, cool look on it. You know, I like the mix of stainless steel and that rough forged look. So I think it's gonna be really cool. But yeah, I'm always open to accept the new orders and stuff. So feel free to give me a look. I don't have a storefront right now. I've been mulling the idea over of starting an actual website. But right now, Instagram, Facebook, X, those are the main sites you can find me on and contact me. All right, let's switch these guys out. They're going to be hot. Quick about it. Okay, so we got our combo dies on now, so I can draw it out and flatten it, all that good stuff. Yeah, so we're gonna keep this thing at least an inch thick in the final dimensions, and probably, I don't know, 2 inches, 2.5 inches wide, I think, before we start stretching, before we start figuring out how much I need for the different lugs and different things. So, so that's where we're gonna go. So we're just gonna let this bad boy heat back up. And yeah, I want it nice and thick because the spearhead that I'm making is 11 inches tall total and like 7 inches long. So like the lugs. Someone just made a weird noise. So the lugs come out and kind of form these little like bull horns from the bottom, and then it's gonna have some spacers underneath, all Damascus. So I need to make sure I keep the mass centralized right now until I figure out how much I need for the spearhead, how much do I need for those lugs, and then the spacers. So I really don't want to have to dick around with making another billet of Damascus for this project because I'm kind of under a timeline for this thing since it's like a retirement gift. So yeah, so it's gonna get rocking on it. So. Billet's looking good, nice and consolidated. I don't see any weird seams or anything. Nice and hot, so we're gonna go ahead and start stretching it out. So let me go ahead. I'll move you back over here for the first couple stretches so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. I'll try to lower you down a little bit. Let's see here. How the hell do I lower this thing? Oh, there we go. Lower you down a skosh. There we go. Get a better view of what we're doing here with the Damascus. So this side is going to be for stretching, and then this side is for flattening. All right, and I kind of smoothen it all out. We're going to go ahead and put a 1-inch kiss block on here. Just a simple 1-inch square bar. Use it as kiss block. Gonna kind of slowly work it down. All right, so as you can see, that's where we're at right now. Still nice and thick and everything, so we're gonna get back in the fire. It's like our handle's breaking off. Do this in 2 parts then. All right, so our handle's starting to come off. That always happens, especially once you start squeezing it down. So we're gonna go ahead. We'll start basically working this billet in 2 parts, front half, back half. Not a big deal. So raise up a little bit. It feels like I'm talking down to you. That'll work. All right. Forward a bit. I got like the cheapest holder on the planet, so that's why it's all wobbly and shit. So. All right, so the good thing is I didn't see any splitting along the front or the back while I did that. Relatively aggressive stretching. A lot of times when you do that, if your front or back aren't fully well together, you'll start seeing little fish lips. Or if you got seams that are overlapping, they won't forge well together, that kind of stuff. They will pop open. So the good thing is I didn't really see any of that, which is awesome. I cleaned this billet pretty well, hit it with some acetone before welding it up together on the welder. So we should be good. So we'll see. Famous last words. right. So again, we're just gonna work this billet down so it's 1 inch thick by 2 1/4 inches wide. We'll get it nice and smoothed out. We'll then once it cools down, I'll grind off the edges, make sure all the seams look nice, and then it won't be on this video because we're already getting kind of long. I'm gonna go ahead and grind in a chevron pattern up the blade, and then when I stretch it out to make the final billet in the shape of the spearhead, it should have some cool kind of chevron lines going on. So pretty simple pattern, but I think for this design, it'll look cool. Now on the lugs that go out and form those horns, you're not really going to see that, and I actually might take a square bar piece of this, and I might actually twist it to do that. Might be kind of cool. We'll see if I have enough to do that. So, let's see what kind of heat we're rocking. 2,000 degrees. Oh, a little hotter. 21 right there in the middle. Handle's gonna fall off after this one. It'll probably be pretty much right when I pull this bad boy out. So we're gonna get a different set of tongs. Alright, so just twist it off our handle here. Just gonna up down. Okay, always have a spot in your forge you can just throw hot shit in. Always have a spot. I've got this little basket down here, like metal weave, expanded metal thing. Anything hot that I don't work with, I just throw it down there. Get it out of the way. So, I'm laid up sick in bed, looking forward to viewing and stuff. Awesome, man. Appreciate it. Hope you feel better. Like I said, I've had walking pneumonia in my house for like a month, so it's no fun. But appreciate the sub and the engagements and stuff. And like I said, follow me on X or Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that fun shit. That's where I post all my pictures, and anything I have up for sale, I'll throw it up there. So appreciate it, man. Hope you feel better. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get this thing back out. I want to melt my phone with my tongs. All right. We're going to start drawing this out more. Okay, we should be able to get it to that final thickness. So we got this part to that 1 inch thick, about 2 1/4-ish wide, maybe a little bit more. So I'm gonna flip it around and do this back half, and then we're gonna let it cool down, and that's pretty much gonna be it. So let's go ahead, get you back in here. Let this bad boy come back up to you. Whoa, whoa. Like I said, I've got the cheapest fucking camera holder. All right. So again, we're gonna go ahead and work this back, 1.5 inches down to 1 inch thick, and then we'll make everything about the same width. Not so important on this part of the stage here on the Damascus making. All right. So again, some of the things I'm looking for when I'm doing this is, do I have any at the front or the back? Do I have anything that looks like it's starting to separate? And the way you can find that out and see that is as you're working it, the outside is going to cool quicker than the inside. So if you have a seam that opens up, you're going to see a bright line because that inside is hotter, right? So if you see something open up, it's going to be bright. That's your indication that you didn't get a good weld right there. So what you do is you take some flux, some 20 millitine borax. You can get it at the grocery store in the laundry section. Sprinkle some of that in there, get it super hot, try to weld it together again. 50-50 chance that you're going to get it to weld, because if it didn't weld in the first place, there might be something in there that's preventing it from doing that. Either you didn't get your billet hot enough, which that's the case now, you might get some oxidization in there, some scale. Sometimes that flux will melt that scale away and you get a good forge weld. You might have some gunk in there that just got trapped and prevented forge welding or whatever. So if you're ever doing this and your front pops open while you're squeezing, or your back pops open, immediately flux it, push it back together, get it as hot as you can, 2300 degrees, and smush it together really hard. Really, really hard. If you're doing it by hand, God bless you. Whack it with the heaviest hammer you can swing accurately. Okay? Like I said, I've got about a 50-50 success rate when I have that issue of it forge welding together. If it doesn't work and it's just on one end, cut it off. Cut it off, grind it, make sure you don't have any more seams. Keep forging on with it. All right? That's just, it is what it is, right? Sometimes Damascus steel doesn't want to be made, but as long as you do all your prep work right and you get your steel clean and flat, that's the other thing. Make sure you get your steel nice and flat so that the surfaces all touch together, right? If you've got it wonky and you start off with your surface like this, you know, you're going to have an issue. So I've been blacksmithing since 2014, 2015? I can't remember. 2014 or 2015 is when I started just standard, you know, run-of-the-mill blacksmithing stuff, making tools and things. All right. So pretty much this should be our last heat on this one. Get it all sized down, and then I will let it cool off. I'll clean it up, and I'll do the patterning on it, and yeah, should be good to go. So this is the last stage of making Damascus in forge welding stuff, right? I started off with 35 layers, 15N20 and 80 CRV2, different sizes and thicknesses. Had a stack that's probably about 2.5 inches tall, 2 inches wide, 4 inches long. It's kind of my standard billet size to start off with. And now we've got 210 layers of 1 inch tall, about 2.5 inches wide, and I don't know, 7 inches long, give or take. So pretty good chunk of steel. Should be plenty as long as I don't fuck up and don't mess up my ratios to make the spearhead that I'm. All right, let's go ahead and get this final forge weld or forging done. Pretty darn good to me. Alrighty. A little easier to see. Holy Jesus. Get it together, Nagel. Alright. So, here's what we end up with. It's a little curved. I'm going to straighten that out on the anvil. I'll get it hot again. And, yeah, it's looking really good. I don't see any issues at all. This is the side that I thought was going to give me some problems because I had some overlapping and some cruddiness left over from a previous forge weld, but it's looking really good, nice and solid. and this part is going to get cut off anyways as scrap. So yeah, we're looking good. So I'm going to heat this back up. I'll straighten it out and finish it off camera. And get a nice heat in there. All right, so reach up here. Okay, so what do we got? Bowie's 154. Don't know for sure, but freaking, hey man, as long as you like it and it's a good quality knife, that's all that matters. I mean, people obsess about layer counts, right? Like, oh, this is 500, this is 1,000, this is 1,000,000. Cool, right? That's awesome. If you like the knife and it works for you, awesome. Who cares if it's 1, 10, 100, 1,000,000, billion, whatever. I've never done anything more than 550 layers because I don't really feel the need to. Eventually I want to do like a 1,000,000 layer billet, but you're not going to be able to see a pattern. It's going to be so fine that it's just going to look like mono steel. So yeah, but as long as you like it, man, and it's a good knife and it's high quality steel, that's all that matters. Who cares what the layer count is? So yeah, so anyways, I think we're going to end it, guys. Appreciate everybody that popped on and hung out with me today. It's been some good conversation and stuff like that. Stay tuned for more videos like this. I'm just going to kind of randomly do live streams here on YouTube of different processes that I do, different knives that I work on and stuff like that. So I've got a Viking axe project coming up. I've got the spearhead this billet's for. I've got a couple more swords that I'm going to be working on. I've got a lot of cool stuff in the works. So appreciate y'all coming on. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, all that fun, happy shit. And go follow me on my other social medias, Twitter, X, YouTube, or Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Just look up NagelHaus Forge. You'll see me. So, all right, guys, take care. Appreciate y'all stopping in, and we'll talk to you soon. Adios.